We're really excited to be using a new partnering system for this RESI conference. It's the first time we're using the Hello Partnering system, and I think it's important to understand how it works because there are some fundamental differences with our previous partnering platform, and we think they're improvements. And I'll be very interested in hearing your opinion after the conference. I think you'll agree. But what's really important, no matter what the partnering system that we're using is, what's really important is how to identify the right people to reach out to and request meetings. And believe me, I've been to a lot of conferences and I know how challenging it is to identify the right people to reach out to. And here at LSN, we try to make that easy for you by uploading information about the investors who are attending our conference from the LSN investor database. If you're not familiar with the LSN investor database, it tracks about over 3,200 global investors from around the world, investors and licensing partners. And the information from the database really helps you understand what investors are looking for and which ones are a right fit for you to reach out to and request a meeting. So we think that's really important. And you'll see here that the information that we give you on the investors is is better than what you see at other conferences typically, and it will make it easier for you to identify which are the investors to reach out to and which ones are clearly not a fit. And so you won't be wasting your time or their time reaching out to the wrong people. Okay, so you should have received your login credentials by email. Sometimes that email goes to spam. So if you haven't received it, just reach out to us and we'll resend it to you. When you log in, it will look like this basically, and you'll be able to see over here if your personal and company profiles are visible or not. And you can also complete sections on products and services looking for, and really important is to manage your availability. So just at a glance, you'll be able to see what your current situation is. And in this case, I've set up my profile today. I've set up my personal and my company profile. I mean, just a little bit to give you an idea how it works. But all you need to do is click on either of those. So if you click on personal, it will take you to your personal profile. I've uploaded a picture. I really recommend that you do that. I just think it makes the whole partnering experience more pleasant for everyone to know who you're meeting with and what they look like. It will help you find them at the RESI conference in the partnering forum where there are many tables of meetings going on, and you'll know who to look for. You'll also run into a lot of investors during the coffee breaks, the lunchtime, and the networking reception. So knowing what people look like, I think is a positive thing for everyone. So I've created a profile for using a different company name so that I could send messages. You just fill out your profile. Um, Finally, go to your company profile. And here I haven't filled in anything, but you can upload your logo. You can edit what category of company you are. Are you a medical device company? Are you a therapeutics company? Are you a CRO? Whatever. And you can put in company description. And I really encourage you to complete your profile and put in as much information as possible. Once you've done that, you're able to uh, indicate what your conference goals are. So, for most of us coming to the RESI conference, you're looking for an investor or financing. So, here you have an opportunity to put in even some more detailed information about your financing needs. So, fill everything out as completely as possible. And then you'll see a button to publish your profile, to make it visible to everyone. And that's important because investors will want to know more about you and your company. And this is the way you can make yourself more visible. Okay. The other thing that I think you should do right off the bat, and before you get started with partnering, is to manage your availability. Okay. And what you want to do is set your local time to Eastern Time, New York. It just makes things so much easier. If you're based on the West Coast of the US, or if you're based in Europe or Asia, you'll see two time zones here. It'll say your local time, and um, it'll say your local time here and the conference time, which is in Boston, as you all know. So it's New York Eastern Time. um, if you don't do that, you'll have, it'll say 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. here. And I think it makes it more complicated. So I would define your own time as Eastern time in the US, and then define what times of day you would like to be available. And you do that for each of the 3 days. If you're attending in person, you will have availability. Um, you can make yourself available anytime between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. That is the schedule for the RESI partnering, and this is when you'll be able to take meetings. Okay, so if you are attending only virtually, you will not be able to make any times available on September 25th, because that's only in-person partnering. You'll be able to make yourself available for virtual partnering. And for those of you who are doing 3 day hybrid, which means 1 day in person and the virtual partnering, you can use the times, and you can make yourself. I don't want to take any meetings at 5 a.m., but I will take meetings, say, from 7, so I can make myself available for virtual meetings, and you can manage your time. So keep in mind that there are companies and investors participating from all around the world in different time zones. So if you don't manage your availability, and if you just did this and make the entire 24 hours of September 26th and September 27th available, what could happen is you could get a meeting booked at 2 in the morning, or at an inconvenient time for you. So I recommend not doing that. I recommend that you go through and you set your availability according to when you are really able to take meetings. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind about the RESI conference is that there is a plethora of interesting content going on throughout the day. And I really would recommend that you take a look at the program guide, which will be available soon, and determine which of these sessions you would like to um, attend. So, if you're interested in hearing about how you can partner with pharma, we have a pharma investor panel going on starting at 9 a.m. on the day of RESI. That's really interested. And all of the investor panels typically have 4 or 5 or 6 investors from that segment, either pharma, or we have angel investors, we have digital health investors. And it will be a really interesting conversation about that particular investment space. And they're really insightful. But also know that all of these sessions are recorded, and you'll be able to see a recording of them after Resi if you're not able to attend in person. So it's good to keep as much time available, keep it open in your schedule so that you can have partnering meetings. But if you're really interested in hearing what the different pharma companies are saying about how you might be able to engage with them, what you can do is you can block off that time from 9 to 10, and know that you're. I'm sorry, I think my internet went out briefly, and I don't know I don't know at what point it went out, But anyway, what I was saying, and I'll share my screen again. What I was saying is that if you attend one of the sessions in person, the advantage to that is that you are able to approach the investors who are speaking on the panel afterwards and introduce yourself, exchange cards. You only have a minute, or 30 seconds, but you can quickly introduce yourself, have your tagline well rehearsed, and you can exchange business cards quickly, and then you'll have a chance to reach out to them afterwards. So that's the advantage of attending some of the panels in person. Although, you should also try to keep as many um, slots available for in-person meetings with investors throughout the day. Okay, so those are just some recommendations about attending RESI and what you might want to think about. So, don't block up all of your schedule with investor panels and workshop panels that will also be really great on the day of RESI. But if there's a particular area that you're really interested in, go ahead and block that off. Okay, moving on. So you've created your profile for your company and for yourself. You've managed your availability for either one day in person or 3 days virtual and in person, or only virtually, because there are also quite a few attendees who are only attending virtually. And just so you know, the virtual meetings will be held only on the 26th and 27th, and the 25th will be only in-person meetings. Okay. So the next step is you want to identify who you're going to reach out to, and which investors are a fit for you if you're looking to meet with investors. So you can click on search here, and you have a lot of different options. If you're particularly looking to meet with investors, you can click on investors. That will already narrow down your search. And you can look at all of the investors who are attending here. And this is great because you can see there are 167 investment firms attending the conference as of today. And we're still expecting many more investors to register. So it's very important to continue logging back into the partnering platform and seeing what new investors um, have registered, and that you can um, check out on the platform. So you can see all of the investors, but really this isn't what you want to see, because not all of these investors will be a fit for you. No matter what you're developing and what your stage of development is, there will be a subset of investors who are the ones that will be your target. So it's not really that useful to see all of the investors that are attending. What I would recommend, and what we do at RESI, is we go to search for investors, and here we will refine the search by what area um, of technology you're in, and this will limit the investors to to the ones that would be potentially a fit for you. So what we would do is say, are you a biotech company or a diagnostics company? You would click here. And if you're not, you're probably not developing all of those um, subgroups. So what I would recommend is click what you're developing. So say you're developing a small molecule, and you can click an indication, say cancer, for example. And I would say, what stage of development are you in? So keep in mind that therapeutics has some stage of development criteria. Medical device and diagnostics have different categories. Okay, I'm sorry, that's subsector of medtech. Um, Medtech and diagnostic development phase, it's either in development or on the market. Okay, or both. You could click both too. Um, and so if you're developing a drug for cancer, then I would say click whatever your stage of development is. I'll just, as an example, I'll say preclinical. And I don't recommend using, I'm sorry, I don't recommend using geographical interest. And the reason is not all of the investors have identified on the platform if they're investing in the US, Western Europe, Canada, um, globally, not all of them have identified that. So I would keep it blank. So keep your search as broad as possible. I would search for what sector you're in. Are you doing biotech? Okay, you're doing small molecule. What indication area? And what stage of development. That's all. You don't need to identify, you don't need to set more filters in the system than that. Just set those three and down at the bottom, click search. And we get, so for that particular search for a small molecule preclinical stage in oncology, right now, as of today, there are 43 investment firms registered. There will be, as I mentioned, there will be many more. So you will definitely want to continue circling back and looking at new investors who might have registered. Okay, so 43 investment firms to look at. You can scroll down, you can read a brief introduction here, but I would recommend clicking on View the Investor, and this gives you a more comprehensive information on these investors. So this company description here is taken directly from the LSN investor database. And the goal of this is to help you understand if this investor is a fit for you or not. So the type of information you'll see here typically says how much they invest. What are their investment sizes between 1 and 40 million. So that's very broad. They're looking to make investments at seed stage or Series A. So if you're raising Series B and 50 million, this might probably not a fit. If you're a seed stage company and you're raising $100,000, also probably not a fit. But we should have a talk about raising $100,000 because it's never going to get you very far, and that's a whole nother conversation. So once you have a clear idea of how much money you're raising, and you read this information that we upload for you, you can tell if this investor might be a fit. So if you're based in the U.S. or actually this investor will evaluate opportunities globally, so no matter where you're based, if you fit the criteria that you read here and you see the main therapeutic areas that they're interested in, this is a venture capital fund. You can also see here in investor details that they invest in seed and venture stage. They do equity investment as opposed to licensing or research collaboration or whatever. So, you'll be able to see the type of capital structure and then, subsectors and indications, you'll be able to read all about that for each of the investors. You'll also be able to see who are the delegates that are attending. And in this case, you'll be able to see that Marika is attending virtually. So in advance that if you have uh, the if you've registered for virtual partnering, you'll be able to schedule a meeting with Marika. If you're just doing the 1 day in person, you won't be able to schedule a meeting through the platform with Marika because she will only be available on the 26th and 27th for virtual partnering. So you'll be able to see that here. You can also see, in this case, her LinkedIn profile is there, but you will be able to communicate through the partnering platform by sending a request. So in your request, I would say I would start with putting in meeting request. Because that's the reason you're reaching out in this first message. And in the body of the message, it's really important to write a compelling message. So in that respect, we have, and we will also send this to you. We have this just very broad template of the kind of information we think is important to include in your outreach message. So we think that that first message that you send should be kind of a broad, general message about your company. Be sure to introduce yourself, explain what the product is, what is the unmet need that you're addressing, what market are you addressing, you might want to mention the competition. Um, if you have any major landmarks or achievements, like, for example, if you've already raised money, if you have received a grant or some kind of award, you might want to mention that there. And then definitely at the end of your message, include what your current financing needs are. How much money are you raising? And just, in a word or two, for what use? Is it for uh, IND enabling studies? Is it for applying for your FDA submission or your European submission or whatever that money will be used for? You just want to mention that. So this is kind of, it gives you an idea what the length of the message should be, and what I recommend is that you have this message prepared on a Word document. And what you can do is you can just copy and paste and definitely personalize that message. Say, hi, John, or hi, Sarah, or whatever, or Marika, if you're reaching out to Marika. Personalize that. Say, my company is da 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 da, what you do. And on that same Word document, prepare at least 3 or 4 follow-up messages that you will continue to send to the investors who don't respond to you, which will be a lot. Because it's time consuming, it's challenging, it's a lot of work, but you will have to reach out to many of the investors several times to get a response. So on this Word document that you prepare your initial message, and then prepare follow-up 1, follow-up 2. And what I recommend, and I'll show you in a minute what that looks like, what I would recommend is that you have these messages prepared, and as you send follow-up messages, begin with second request, third request, fourth and final request, and send these messages about every week leading up to the conference. The conference is about what, a little over 5 weeks away. So you have time to send several messages to these investors. By doing that, you are getting your message back to the top of their inbox, and you're increasing your chances of being seen. Keep in mind that investors are extremely busy people. They get a lot of requests. They're not able to look at all of their requests at all hours of every day. It's just, it doesn't happen. That doesn't happen with anybody, right? But it certainly doesn't happen with investors. So, it's very possible that they won't see your message when you send the initial request, which goes to their partnering platform. It also goes to their email. They get an email telling them that you've reached out requesting a meeting. But like I said, they may or may not see it when you request a meeting. And that's the importance of following up frequently. We recommend, like, at least 4 messages to these investors. Now, when you send your second request, send them more information about your company, but send something that's different from your first request. And I'll explain why. So let's close this up. And all of your partnering activity you can track here in what we call Messenger. So I send out a request to my colleague Erica. So it's a test request. It's not a real meeting request. Erica knows that. But I sent this earlier today. I sent my initial message to Erica. Okay. And then I also want her to have my contact information. And you'll see that option when you send a meeting request. There's a checkbox that says send contact information. So if you're fundraising and you're reaching out to investors and you don't know if they'll be able to meet with you during RESI or during virtual partnering or whatever, um, I would definitely include your contact information so that they can get in touch with you. It's a no-brainer, right? So if you're reaching out, definitely include your contact information. And then so that's is sent out automatically together with your initial meeting request. Then let's say I haven't heard back from Erica. She's ghosting me, she's not giving me a response on my meeting request. So a week from now, I will send a second request, and I'll start, like I said earlier, start with second request, so that that will show up and hopefully jump out at Erica that this is not my first request, this is my second request, and then I'll do a third request and a fourth and final request, and hopefully I will be able to get her attention. And you can send another message here. And why the reason I say you should send some additional information and make your message different is because they'll be able to see your original message right here, right below it. So here you've given a good overview of your company and how much money you're raising and what unmet need you're addressing. In your message up here, you can you can talk about your management team or your founding members or your advisory board members if they're particularly relevant and you want to highlight that. So you can talk about your team in your second request, for example. You can focus on that. Maybe in your third request, you could focus on the market that you're addressing and why it's such an important unmet need that investors should be aware of and perhaps what how big that market is or you can focus a little bit more on the market. On your fourth and final request, you might want to um, include a link or yeah, a link to your deck or your executive summary or something like that, and just give a little the fourth and final request. Um, I'm really interested in meeting with you because I think we would be a fit. We're raising $2 million in seed funding. This is uh, this is a link to our deck. You have my contact information below. I hope we can meet either during Resi or afterwards. Thanks very much. Something to that effect. Okay. And then you will, you will be checking back every day. When you go to the home page, you'll be able to see, um, how many meetings you have scheduled, how many requests you've sent. You have kind of a dashboard over here that will help you see how many are accepted. You'll also get meeting requests, and you'll be able to see them all here in Messenger. Okay. In Media Center, you are able to upload a document. Um, so you will be able to, you know, you click on upload a presentation. I recommend that you upload your deck. I don't know if it will be possible to upload more than one document. Um, you can ask us about that in a few days. Like I said, this is our first time using Hello Partnering, this new partnering platform. I hope you see those of you who are familiar with Resi and with our previous partnering platform. I hope that you'll be able to see some of the differences, and we really hope that it will be more effective for you in managing your outreach to the investors. Which, as I mentioned, and I can't stress this enough, your outreach to investors is not merely requesting a meeting once. It's really crafting a compelling message when you reach out. It's following up with also compelling messages, maybe adding a little bit more information about what you're doing or whatever. So it's initial meetings requests, it's follow up, And then, as I said earlier, and this is also really important, we're 5 weeks away from the conference. There are still many more investors to register for the conference that will be added every day to the database, to the partnering platform. So, go back to search and go back to search for investors, put in your criteria and scroll through and see, who is attending. Okay. Any questions? Feel free to put those in the chat. Okay, here's a question. When is the last date for updating and uploading info? There is no last date. You can continue updating your profile. You can change the any documents that you've uploaded. You're able to do that until, right up to the day of the conference. Okay, the pitch competition, that's a separate issue, but I'll address it. So the Innovators Pitch Challenge, which is a fantastic opportunity to get additional visibility for your company. Um, it takes place on the day of RESI. It only takes place in person. We've had companies ask if it's possible to dial in and pitch virtually. It's not possible. I'm sorry, we don't have that capability. And also, we think it's important to do the Innovators Pitch Challenge in person. It's just it really it really makes a difference to be able to meet the investors in person. So the Innovators Pitch Challenge is a format that I think is really effective, especially after attending, many other conferences and seeing different formats for pitching. Um, we put together a panel of expert investors on for each pitching session. Each pitching session will have four companies that pitch for 4 minutes and then take Q&A for another 10 minutes or so after their pitch. And they take Q&A from a panel of 4 or 5 investor judges that we select specifically for each session based on the technologies that are pitching. So if it's a medical device session, you'll have 4 medical device investors. If it's a therapeutics session, you'll have therapeutics investors. If it's a very focused session, say on drugs for oncology, we will have specialized investors from oncology. And apart from getting that direct feedback from investors during the session, there's a live audience there. And we've seen that many investors sit in on the sessions that they're interested in to see what companies are pitching and see what companies they might be interested in addressing. So it's a fantastic opportunity. And I will say, if you haven't applied, I believe we have 2 slots still available, and we've extended the deadline until tomorrow. So if you are interested, you still might be able to participate if you fill out the application, resiconference.com, click on pitch, and you'll see the application there. It takes 5 or 10 minutes to fill out the application. Okay, so I'm getting a question about what time is the med device IPC session? We don't know yet because we're still we're still processing the applications. As I mentioned, the deadline is not until tomorrow. Sometime next week, our team will be evaluating all of the applications and grouping together the companies according to their technology. So the pitch sessions will run from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. And the sessions will be determined, also according to investor availability, et cetera. It's a very complex process for our team to put together these sessions and find the right investors. So in the course of next week, all of the IPC companies will be notified what time their session is. And okay, so I have another question. Someone who has applied to pitch hasn't heard back yet. You can expect to hear back shortly. You will hear back very soon if you meet the criteria, and it's on a first come first served basis. But if our team determines that you are a good fit for the RESI conference and the types of investors who come, then you will hear back soon, and it should be an affirmative response. The types of technologies that we rule out from RESI are the ones that we don't think would benefit from the investors. So, an example is animal health. We really don't get very many investors interested in animal health, and we don't want you to waste your time and money, or ag tech, or food tech. These are areas that are not as popular among investors coming to Resi. So those types of technologies we would consider not letting you into the IPC, and we would give you a call and talk to you about that. Okay, if more than one person from your company is attending live and virtual, how do you sync up on the meetings if both want to attend? That's really very easy to do. Once you have a meeting scheduled, okay, well, that's a little more complex. If one person is attending in person and one person is attending virtually, then it would be your responsibility to dial in the person who's attending virtually on your laptop during the meeting so they can participate. So you should link up on Teams or Zoom or whatever platform, Google, whatever platform you use normally for video conferencing, and you can meet in person with the investor and dial in your colleague on your laptop during the meeting. That would be fine. There will be high-speed internet at the conference, and that shouldn't be a problem. Um, for the in-person meetings, it's very easy to add a colleague if two of you are attending in person to that meeting, and it'll go pop into their schedule. If you are attending virtually only, it's also easy to include your colleague in the meeting. So that should not be a problem. Let's see. How many requests are allowed? Is it only 150? Okay, it says 150. At the RESI conference, we have never limited the number of meeting requests that are allowed, and it's common for people to send. I mean, you won't find. I don't think you'll find more than 150 investors who are a fit for you that you would want to request meetings with more than 150 people. But if that is the case, I'm pretty sure that it will be unlimited. And the reason it says there's a limit of 150 is because that is baked into this partnering platform, which, as I mentioned, we're using for the first time. So I don't have an answer for that right now, but we will get back to you on it. Is it possible to filter the investors based on who attends virtually and who is on site? You're able to see that. I'm not sure if you can filter for that. You're able to see which investors are attending virtually. It's in there. Like if we go back to search for investors, see all investors. Let's see. You're able to see when you click on view, you can see here if an investor is attending only virtually, you'll be able to see that here. It will say virtual attendee or on-site. So this particular investor is attending on-site. Not sure if you'll be able to filter for that. You'll have to. That's a good question. I knew that questions were going to come up I wouldn't be able to answer because this is a new system for us. But that's one. Okay. I think I answered that question. There was a question about if this webinar was being recorded. It is, and we will share that with you after probably sometime tomorrow. Well, I don't think it'll be today. We'll send you a link to the recording, and I'll also send you the template for crafting your outbound meeting request. All right. I think we got through all of the questions. I took note of a couple of the questions that I wasn't able to answer, and I will get back to you on those. Okay. And then for the IPC, if you haven't applied and you want to get maximum visibility at the RESI conference, I would definitely consider applying. It's an investment. Um, there is an additional cost, but it's well worth it. And we have, really, really positive feedback from companies that participate in the Innovator Space Challenge. It's also an opportunity to get to meet those 4 or 5 expert investors that are on your panel that are investor judges. You will be connected with them after the conference. You get to greet them, and then the investor judges will also fill out an evaluation of your pitch, and you'll get that feedback as well. So I highly recommend it. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. The best way to get in touch with us is resi@lifesciencenation.com, and we will get back to you with any questions that you have. And I've taken note of your questions here today about how many meetings are allowed, and is it possible to filter for investors who are on site or attending virtually only. I will look into those 2 things, and we will get back to you. Great. Well, thank you so much for attending. I think it's really important to understand how how the new platform works for those of you who aren't familiar with it. And I hope you have a fantastic conference. And like I say, please reach out to us if you have any questions. We're here to help you. We want you to have a great conference. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you in Boston or online.